let's look at some volumes of composite prisms. So if you have a look on the board, we've got question 1 already. It looks like it's not really a regular prism, is it? I've got this part, and I've also got another part extended from it. So watch how I do this, guys. I'm going to try to do some splitting. So if you have a look, we want to find the volume of this prism. First of all, guys, you can see that this length is 7 and that's 8. And you can see this whole length is 8 meters. So you would know that that's also 8. Yes? And it tells us that this is 6. So let's start by finding this little length here. If this entire length is 8, which means this is 8, and that part is 6, that little gap there would simply be the difference of 8 and 6, or 8 minus 6, which is 2, isn't it? So I just labeled that as an extra, so that one's 2. And let's also find this little length here. This little length would be the full length of this, which is 8 meters, minus away 7. Yes? So the difference between 8 and 7 would give us this little gap, which is going to be 1. 8 minus 7 is simply 1 meters, isn't it? So I've got that. Now what I'm going to do is do some splitting. I'm going to split it right across there because I want to find the area of this first and then find the area of this. Yes? So first of all, let's find the face shape area, the base shape, so the cross section basically. So let's find the area of the cross section, which is now split into 2. So try to do this first and add this on top. So watch what I do. I'm going to do 2 times 8, which is simply length times width here. Yes, 2 times 8, plus 1 times 6, which is again length times width, 1 times 6. And then you do the multiplication and add them together, you should get 22. 2 times 8 is 16, 1 times 6 is 6. 16 plus 6 will give us 22 meters squared now because it's area. Now, because we need to find the volume, we'll have to multiply by our extra 3. So I want to find the volume of the prism. Let's multiply the 22 by how deep it is. So 3. And that will give us 66. So 66 meters cubed will be the final volume of this prism. Make sense, guys? So the key part is to find the area of the entire cross section by doing some splitting and stuff like that, whatever you feel comfortable. You could have even split it here, wouldn't you? And then you multiply it by how deep it is. Okay, guys? So let's go with question 2. Find the volume of the prism. Again, we have a little face shape, the cross-sectional area, which is what I want to find first. What I'm going to do is kind of split it up like this. So I have a triangle and I also have a little rectangle. And then I'm going to find the area of those individual areas and add it together to find the final area of the cross-section. So first of all, let's find the area of the cross-section using the little guidelines I've just done. So first of all, our triangle, half times base times height, or half times height times base. So I've got half, and then the height, which I've wrote down as 1 meter, and then the base. The base is 6, so that must also be 6, so I did 6. That's the area of the triangle. Plus, let's do the area of the rectangle. It's length times width, so that's why it is just 5 times 6. And then simplify it, guys. I'll get you guys to just do your own simplification. And then let's find, finally, the volume of the entire prism. So the depth of it is going to be 4, so we'll multiply it by 4, and then the final answer will give you 132 meters cubed. That's the volume of this particular prism. So again, I did some splitting, didn't I? Alright, question 3. Find the volume of the prism. Again, it's a unique kind of shape because this one has got a little hole. It's got a, what do we call it? It's a square hole in it. It's like another hole through this, but it's a square shape. So what I'm going to do is, again, first of all, I will find the area of the cross section. What my plan is for me to find the entire rectangle and then subtract away the area of this square. So find the area of this entire rectangle, or is it a square? I think it's a square, isn't it? And then I'm going to subtract away the little square. So the big square is simply 6 times 6, and we're going to minus away 2 by 2, the smaller square, which is going to be simply 32 if you calculate. And then let's find the volume of the entire prism. Because we've got the cross-sectional area, all we need to do now is as simple as just multiplying it by how deep it is, and it tells us that it's 6. So you multiply it by 6, the area that we've just calculated, and you'll get a value of 192 meters cubed. Alright guys, this is the volume of this particular prism. So you make sure when there's a little hole inside, just subtract it away, and then you do the normal thing. Alright, question 4. Find the volume of this prism. This time it's very similar to the previous question, but the hole is triangular. So we'll have to subtract away the triangle from the cross-section, won't we? So let's first find the area of our cross-section. What we'll do is we'll find the area of the square and subtract away the area of the triangle. Yeah? So the square will simply be 5 times 5, isn't it? Minus away half times base times height. Base is 2, height is 3, isn't it? They tell us over here that the height is 3. So just multiply it, guys, and you should get a value of 22 meters squared. Now that we've got the cross-sectional area, we can just find the volume now. The volume, all you need to do, guys, is multiply it by how deep it is, and they tell us right here it's 4. So let's multiply it by 4, and you'll get a value of 88. So it's 88 meters cubed for the volume of the entire prism. Alright, question 5. Find the volume of the prism. Alright, have a look at this, guys. It's a very unique shape. It's like an arrow. Arrow prism, we can call it. So again, I'm going to do a bit of splitting. I'm going to split it up like this. So I split it right there, so it's a triangle and a rectangle now. Or actually it's a square, isn't it? Because the side's the same, it tells us in the diagram. So let's find the individual areas and add it together to first find our area of the cross section. So first of all, with the square, it's simply 6 by 6. So 6 times 6 would give us the area of the square. And we'll add on the area of the triangle, half times base times height. So I did half times the base, which they tell us is 8, and the height, they tell us is 3. Easy as that, right? Just putting it into our triangle area formula. And multiply individually and add them together. Make sure you do the multiplication first, and you should get 22 meters squared. And finally, to get the volume, because we've now got the area of the cross-section, all we need to do is multiply it by how deep it is. Again, they tell us it's 4. So multiply that by 4, and we get 88 meters cubed. Did that make sense, guys? So first step, I want you to always find the area of the cross-section and then divide it by how deep or high it is.